At the heart of Matthew's message is a call to remember a greater love and to live a deeper story. So welcome, Matthew. Thank you for being here today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Olivia. Really, meaningful to be here with you. Nice to be invited. I'm a projector, so it's nice to have the invitation into the field. Thank you.
Well, I'm a reflector, so I think that means I just wobble around all over the place reflecting.
But you get to have the excitement of being so rare.
Yes. Yeah, it makes me feel special.
I think you're the second one I've ever met.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. It makes me feel unique in some way. Anyway, so yeah, I'd love for you to share anything about who you are and what you're doing in the world, and anything in addition to the bio that I read out.
Yeah, thank you. It's sometimes it's a bit challenging to speak about myself because I live so much of my life in what you could probably call the unconscious realms, and so much of what I do and why I do it, I don't even know if I can fully language myself yet. But what I do know is that I'm really inspired by beings who are driven by a great love and who wholly and fully give themselves to the love that wants to move through them and live inside them. And I've really just spent my life kind of growing up bit by bit and maturing bit by bit and learning to coming into intimacy with the love that I am. And I've been doing in service, in teacherhood, in mentorship for about 20 years now. And so beginning to it feels like I'm beginning to touch some real quality of myself, a real some of the real love that I actually am is beginning to come through into the world, it feels exciting. So I live my days in an old Buddhist sanctuary, which is really just a Welsh farmhouse that in 1976 the Karmapa of the Tibetan Buddhist, one of the Tibetan Buddhist lineages, came and he sat here, and people from all around the region came and sat with him. And the house itself is on 110 acres on the foothills of the Black Mountains, and I've just been soaking in this. I'm not actually Buddhist myself, but I've been soaking in this lineage. All the books on the shelves are from this lineage, or a little bit of like Welsh medicine lineage as well. The land itself definitely has been planted with trees that resonate with both Wales and Tibet, and so it's been quite an activational space to live. And I feel like even though I'm not Buddhist and I'm not within that lineage per se, that just soaking in this house and in all the dunkers on the wall and all the books, it's really kind of influenced me in a deep way. And it probably is important because this house has been a bit of a womb through the COVID years of like a birthing of me into the next stage of my life. It just feels important to name it. It's been a bit of a mother of sorts, a holder of me and a grower of me. So I just wanted to thank the house and the land here in the foothills of the Black Mountains just outside of Isle of Wight.
That's a beautiful part of the world. And where are you from originally, actually? I feel like where we're going to go in this conversation is so land-based. I'd love to just touch on your origins a little bit.
So I could answer this in a normal way. What I'll do is I'll answer it in the way that I do sometimes, which is my father mountain is Jackie Kundu. My river is the Murubakula, the Makula, the Bula, the Mary River. My ocean, the Pacific. I was born on Gubbi Gubbi country, just outside of Gympie, in the Gympie region in southeast Queensland, Australia. And this is that land is platypus and it's wombat, and it is like little bits of wombat. It is koala. It is there's not any cassowaries anymore, but it's like the southernmost point in Australia where there's still crocodiles in the river. So it's like there's not many crocodiles, but there's just enough to keep you kind of curious when you jump in the river. So for me, it feels like I was born into almost the place where the modern world and the wild west, or the old world, kind of is having a little bit of a tug of war, a bit of a to and fro. Big tiger sharks just off the coast between the land and Fraser Island. That was where I grew up. And then I was raised, I kind of became a man in Brisbane, Australia. And then I stepped deeper into my role on the Gold Coast. So I almost worked my way down southeast Queensland as I grew and came into myself a bit more. And during the COVID years, we got stuck in Bali, and I came over to the UK with my partner, and this is now home.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You're actually the first person I've spoken to on this podcast where we're in the same country right now. And that feels nice in some way. Yeah. And I'm inspired by this way of describing ourselves, because I lived in New Zealand for many years, and the Maori culture, they speak about who they come with when they enter a room and they introduce themselves. It's actually introducing the land and the mountains and the rivers and the stars and the iwis and the tribe that they've come from. And so they have this perception of describing who they're walking into a room with. And I love that. It's something that it was very foreign and new to me actually when I moved there, and I've interpreted that in a way that has added a lot of depth actually to my life, of going so far beyond this conversation of what do you do and who are you, and explain something about yourself and give yourself a title, and actually just dropping into a deeper rested place of knowing that you're one of many and you're walking along a lineage.
Oh, I love it. Honestly, it feels like fundamental humanity to me that we've forgotten and is slowly being remembered right now. Like the Māori pepiha, which is part of what I think you're speaking to, like, and almost like a welcome. I don't think that's just a Māori cultural piece. That it is echoed in different cultures around the world, but I think that, and part of what I would love to champion is a remembering of that way of knowing ourselves and that way of taking our story and our belonging with us wherever we go. And I've been so like humbled and touched by the Māori culture, and particularly the pepiha, as almost a starting point. It's one of the biggest whispers that I carry with me is what the Māoris are doing with the pepiha, what that is kind of embedded in their culture. For me, it almost whispers to the initiations of humanity, like know your mountain, know your river, know your ancestors, know your family, know the lands that you're on. And it almost in a single welcome, in a single self-introduction, it almost names all the some of the main initiatory, land-based initiatory paths we have to walk to really know ourselves and to take our place in the world in an integrated and kind of grounded way.
Yeah, totally. I'm very inspired by that. So I'd love to ask you what leadership means to you, as this is very much the drum you bang, which is why I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm the oldest brother in my family. I've got 2 white brothers and 2 black brothers. That's just how we language it amongst ourselves. I've got my Papua New Guinean brothers. I've got my Western Australian brothers. I grew up with my white brothers, and I loved them. They're 3 years younger than me, thereabouts, and they're twins. And I remember as a 3-year-old, not quite 3, just about to turn 3, I remember the love that I had for them when they arrived. It was really profound. And I'd probably name it like a pledge, but it's more than a pledge. It's just an inner knowing of loving those beings that arrived with them when they came into the world. And for me, a lot of my life and a lot of my path has been driven by my love for my brothers. That's kind of how it all began for me in some way. I could tell, I had a sense of the world, and that something wasn't quite right. As a young one, I'm like, that doesn't quite make sense. And I had this drive inside me to find what was true and what was love. I wouldn't language it this way back then. It was just like some kind of inner knowing and some kind of invisible force. But I had this drive and this determination to find what was real and what was love and to bring it back to my brothers. and that sounds all very holy and magical. They probably won't relate to it in this way, just to be clear. They probably wouldn't language that. They'd probably think I'm full of it. But that is how it was experienced inside me. And it's just, and that same prayer and that same relationship with it has just continued on. And for me, it's part of how I relate to my human family. I'm like, I love you. And I want to do everything that I can to the best of my ability to listen as deeply as I can and to meet this moment with as much honesty and truth and humanity as I possibly can. And all of that matures and grows through the seasons of my life. So I get more human, I get more mature. What I have to pass on or call my human family to becomes even more on the money, right on the point of honesty, on the point of truth as time goes on. So I think that leadership is love, and my form of it is like relating to my human family as a human family and just being a role player within my human family, living my passion within my human family, and not just doing it for myself, but for doing it for all of us as we all find our way through this really quite radical and rare moment on Earth where so much transition is woven into the kind of greater threads of our story of this moment. So yeah, it's like a family love for me. And I acknowledge that there's different kinds of leadership as well. I was thinking about this when you kind of prompted me in the lead up to this podcast, and I was thinking about the leadership of the fish. In a school of fish, many fish are leaders, and they're literally responding to their environment, to their ecosystem, and there's some kind of inbuilt nature that steers where the school goes. And I've always been really intrigued about what it takes for collectives to steer in different directions or to move in response to the world around them and in response to their inner listening. And even though the school of fish, it's living in a survival context, I think those same principles apply not just to survival, but also to thriving and also to becoming really good as a collective at listening and moving. It takes a lot of trust to move with each other. It takes a lot of trust to respect and lean into each other's deeper listenings and deeper sense. And I think that we're learning slowly how to do this as kind of greater and greater collectives right now. And for me, I experience it almost shamanically and mythically, this moving of us all in one direction or the next, and at particular times particular fish almost like come, and the force of them courageously moving in one direction calls us all in that direction, and if we have enough trust and enough listening, we kind of go with them in that moment. And but like us, it's not just one fish that's the lead. We're all kind of navigating in different directions and from different angles in the school of fish. We're all listening to the different parts of the ocean. So for me, I think as a collective, there's a collective kind of leadership that also asks us to become really good at listening to each other and trusting each other's sensory ability. And what that might mean, it might not mean blindly following each other, but it does mean often courageously opening ourselves up to the initiations that each other holds. The rememberings, the embodied rememberings that we each hold that are different to the others. So yeah, that for me, leadership it's about the one and it's about the many. And I want to see this school of fish, this kind of human family, and the little metaphors of that, like maybe our wider community. I want to see us becoming really good at listening to each other and learning to move in directions as we're contacted by the love that each other is. That's what leadership is to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I love the metaphor about the school of fish, and it leads me to, let's talk about the school of myth, which is, school of living myth, which is your body of work, your school. And so I'd love to just hear about that and hear about what we have to learn through looking back to past stories and teachers and wisdom of elders and how that can inform the way we move forward.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to talk about the school. It sits really, it sits in like a very real and tender place inside me, because the prayer underneath it is feels so genuine to me.